Queen Camilla.
Queen Camilla.
I'd just like to say that Carole and I are absolutely delighted by today's announcement.
How was she dangerous?
Because of the need for her to rehabilitate her image.
That made her dangerous.
Behind the royal family's elegant image and polite smiles, tensions and power struggles have always existed. But now, those quiet rumors have turned into a full-scale controversy. At 70, Carole Middleton has finally spoken out about Queen Camilla.
Let's move on to Princess Kate's mom, otherwise known as Super Granny. Carole Middleton is featured in this week's issue of People magazine.
And her words have taken the internet by storm. Was there a hidden rivalry between these two strong women? But did Carole recognize in Camilla the same influence that Princess Diana once feared? A figure shaping the monarchy behind the scenes? Join us as we unravel Carole Middleton's shocking revelation about Queen Camilla, Carole and Camilla scandal. For years, Carole Middleton was known as the quiet force behind her daughter, Princess Kate. She never sought the spotlight, never made bold statements, and never overstepped her role. Instead, she moved carefully and gracefully, always present, but never intrusive. She understood the delicate balance between being involved and being overbearing, a skill that made her both respected and admired. So when the news broke that Carole had finally spoken out against Queen Camilla, it sent shockwaves through royal circles. This wasn't just idle gossip or a minor disagreement, it was a full-scale royal scandal. Buckingham Palace was thrown into chaos as the story spread like wildfire, dominating headlines overnight. The royal family has weathered its fair share of controversies over the years: infidelity, financial scandals, and even betrayals from within. But this was something entirely different. Carole's decision to break her silence wasn't about a petty disagreement or a personal vendetta. It was about a power struggle that had been quietly brewing behind palace doors for years.
In a new interview with the UK's Saga magazine, Carole Middleton opened up about her.
And now, for the first time, the world was seeing it unfold in real time. To the public, Queen Camilla and Carole Middleton always appeared cordial at royal events. But those who closely follow the monarchy knew that beneath the polished smiles, tensions had always been simmering. Their paths, their personalities, and their very presence in the royal world had been set on a collision course ever since Kate Middleton became part of the royal family. Now, at 70 years old, Carole had finally broken her silence.
Kate Middleton's mom, her mom.
Yes, that is right. Carole Middleton just opened up exclusively to The Telegraph,
revealing a battle for influence and control that had been hidden for decades. To understand the magnitude of this moment, we have to go back to where it all began. The day Kate Middleton became a serious contender to be the future Queen of England. On the surface, Carole and Camilla were simply two women from different backgrounds, connected only by the marriage of their children. But in reality, their differences ran far deeper. They were complete opposites in every way. Camilla was born into aristocracy, raised in a world where lineage and social status dictated one's place in society. She understood the unspoken rules of royal life: who belonged, who didn't, and who should be allowed in. Carole, on the other hand, was a self-made woman. She had worked tirelessly to build her family's success from the ground up, ensuring her children had access to the best opportunities despite coming from a background that by royal standards was considered middle class. She wasn't born into nobility, but she had something just as powerful: ambition, resilience, and a vision for the future. The cracks in their relationship began early. Camilla had never fully accepted Kate as a proper match for Prince William. While she never openly voiced her doubts, there were subtle signs: quiet dismissals, pointed remarks, and whispers behind closed doors. She reportedly questioned whether Kate had the aristocratic polish needed to handle the pressures of royal life, suggesting that she lacked the refinement expected of a future queen. Carole, ever watchful, noticed every slight. She saw how Camilla viewed her daughter, and by extension the Middleton family, as outsiders. And yet, she remained silent, choosing to support Kate from behind the scenes rather than engage in a public feud. Now, with Carole finally speaking out, will the long-hidden struggle for power within the monarchy come to light for the world to see? Let's find out. Royal legacy struggles. One of the biggest secrets within the royal family is that even though Princess Diana is gone, she never truly left. Her influence lingers in every corner of the monarchy, shaping decisions and public opinion, and, perhaps most notably, haunting the woman who was once considered her greatest rival. For decades, Camilla worked tirelessly to reshape her image, attempting to move beyond being the other woman and solidify her place as the rightful queen consort.
Once known as the other woman, Camilla is now the queen. Kind of. The new king's darling wife has become the queen consort.
She attended countless royal engagements, carried out her duties with a poise, and played by the rules of the monarchy. But no matter how much time passed, there was one thing she could never change: the unwavering love the public still had for Diana. Then came Kate Middleton. From the moment she stepped into the royal spotlight, comparisons to Diana were unavoidable. Kate possessed the same warmth, elegance, and ability to connect with people that had made Diana so beloved. She was natural, relatable, and effortlessly charming, qualities that only deepened the public's admiration. Watching from the sidelines was Carole Middleton, Kate's mother, who had seen firsthand how Diana had been both adored by the people and isolated by the institution. She understood the dangers of royal life and knew the monarchy had a way of breaking strong women, stripping them of their individuality and molding them into something unrecognizable. Determined to prevent history from repeating itself, Carole made it her mission to protect her daughter. Camilla, however, had a different view. Unlike Diana, who had been cherished by the public but never fully accepted by the royal family, Camilla had fought tooth and nail to be embraced by the monarchy. She wasn't about to let Kate overshadow her, nor was she willing to let Diana's legacy define the next chapter of the royal family. Carole Middleton never sought the spotlight, but that didn't mean she wasn't a powerful force behind the scenes. From the moment Kate entered royal life, Carole played the long game, strategically positioning herself as a quiet but influential figure. She understood that surviving in the royal world wasn't just about tradition, it was about knowing where the real power lay. On the other hand, Camilla had spent years mastering palace politics, carefully building her network of aristocratic allies to secure her place beside King Charles. She knew how to pull the strings without ever appearing to be the one doing it. But unlike Carole, Camilla didn't have a direct link to the future king and queen. While she operated within the system, Carole worked outside of it, shaping Kate's role, influencing public perception, and ensuring her daughter wasn't just another royal figurehead. Though Carole and Camilla never openly clashed, those close to them knew that a quiet struggle was unfolding. This wasn't just about status. It was about legacy, influence, and the future of the monarchy. And neither woman was willing to lose. Camilla had perfected the art of control, not through direct confrontation, but through small, deliberate moves that sent a clear message. According to reports from Buckingham Palace, she knew exactly how to exert quiet authority over Kate at royal events.
She's gone from being a vilified royal mistress to the woman who will now shape the future of the monarchy.
It was in the way she chose who to engage with, how she positioned herself in photographs, and the offhanded comments that, while seemingly innocent, carried undeniable weight. Carole, however, was sharp. She noticed the subtle power plays, the way Camilla's mere presence could shift the dynamics of a room, the way a backhanded compliment or a fleeting smirk could serve as a reminder of Kate's outsider status. The jabs were never obvious, but they were there. Royal insiders dismissed it as harmless, but those close to Carole saw the deeper meaning. It was a quiet suggestion that Kate had simply stumbled into royalty, rather than having truly earned her place. Carole, however, wasn't one to react impulsively. She believed real power wasn't in confronting every slight, but in waiting for the right moment to strike back. And that moment was fast approaching. If Carole thought the power struggles had ended once Kate became a duchess, she was mistaken. The real battle was only beginning. When Prince George and Princess Charlotte were born, a new crucial question emerged. Who would have the most influence in raising the future heirs to the throne? Let's explore further. Royal power struggles. If there was one event that pushed the tension between Carole Middleton and Camilla, Duchess of Cornwall, to the edge, it was the wedding of Prince William and Kate Middleton. To the world, the ceremony was a magical spectacle.
On this, a day the world has been waiting for. We're outside Westminster Abbey in London, the very spot where Prince William made Kate Middleton his bride.
Royalty and romance woven into one perfect day. It was a moment that felt like it belonged in a fairy tale. But behind the dazzling gowns, grand processions, and elegant receptions, a quiet power struggle was unfolding between two women determined to leave their mark on history. Carole Middleton, a devoted mother, wanted nothing more than for Kate to have the wedding of her dreams. She envisioned a ceremony that reflected Kate's personality, warm, modern, and infused with the love of the Middleton family. She believed this was not just any royal wedding. It was her daughter's special day, and she fought to ensure that personal touches weren't overshadowed by rigid traditions. Camilla, however, had a very different perspective. As a senior member of the royal family and future queen consort, she saw the wedding as an opportunity to reinforce the monarchy's traditions. To her, this wasn't just about Kate and William. It was about duty, hierarchy, and presenting the royal family in the most formal and dignified way possible. The tension was thick behind the scenes. Sources later revealed that Carole and Camilla clashed repeatedly over wedding plans. Carole wanted a warm and inclusive atmosphere where Kate's family played a central role. Camilla, on the other hand, was adamant that the royal protocols should take precedence. One of the biggest disputes arose when Camilla reportedly pushed to limit the number of non-royal guests, a move Carole firmly opposed, as she wanted Kate's family and close friends to be well represented. Despite the behind-the-scenes struggles, the wedding itself was breathtaking. Kate, ever poised, smiled through every moment, but Carole knew this day was about more than just vows and celebration. It was the beginning of a much bigger battle, one that would continue long after the wedding bells stopped ringing. Camilla, as the Duchess of Cornwall and a senior royal, saw herself as an essential guiding force in the children's upbringing. In her view, they needed to be raised with a deep understanding of their duty, their legacy, and the weight of their future responsibilities. She believed that royal traditions should shape their lives from an early age. Carole, on the other hand, had a completely different approach. She had always been a hands-on mother, raising Kate and her siblings in a close, loving environment. To her, childhood should be about warmth, security, and normalcy, not rigid rules and formalities. Naturally, Kate leaned toward the parenting style she had grown up with, wanting George and Charlotte to experience a childhood filled with love and family traditions, not just royal obligations. Though neither Carole nor Camilla spoke openly about their differences, their contrasting approaches became increasingly obvious. Camilla often insisted that the children be introduced to aristocratic circles, believing it was important for them to be comfortable in elite royal settings. Meanwhile, Carole was frequently seen playing with her grandchildren, baking with them,
putting a princess to work, and disco dancing in the kitchen. Princess Charlotte has been in the spotlight since birth, and it seems that some of her few chances to relax come when she spends time with her grandmother, Carole Middleton.
and encouraging a more grounded, everyday childhood experience, something Camilla reportedly found too casual for royal heirs. Over time, the contrast between the two grandmothers became a talking point in the media. Carole was celebrated as the modern grandmother, deeply involved in her grandchildren's daily lives. Camilla, in contrast, had a much more distant relationship with the young royals. Some speculated that William and Kate preferred to keep her at arm's length, while others believed it was simply Camilla's nature to maintain a more formal, less hands-on role. For years, Carole had endured Camilla's quiet dismissals, the subtle power plays, and the constant battle over Kate's role and her children's upbringing. She had remained composed, never making a scene. But there was one moment, one particular event, that finally pushed her to speak up. It happened at a private royal gathering, a seemingly routine family meeting to discuss future royal engagements. At some point, the conversation turned to Prince George and Princess Charlotte, and that's when Camilla made a remark that cut too deep. She suggested, perhaps not outright, but with unmistakable implication, that as the future queen, she should have a greater influence over the children's upbringing. To Carole, it was a direct challenge to her role as a grandmother. The comment was dismissive, condescending, and designed to undermine her presence in her grandchildren's lives. And this time, Carole did not stay silent. According to royal insiders, she confronted Camilla directly. With unshakable confidence, she made it clear that William, Kate, and their children had every right to shape their own family dynamic, without being dictated by outdated traditions. But Carole didn't stop there. She went further, touching on whispers that had long circulated within royal circles. She raised pointed questions about how certain non-working royals, particularly those in Camilla's inner circle, had benefited from their connections. She reportedly questioned whether the privileges extended to figures like Camilla's sister, Annabelle, were truly in line with the monarchy's values of service and duty. The room fell silent. Many were stunned. No one had ever seen Carole assert herself so boldly. This was not just a grandmother defending her place in her grandchildren's lives. It was a statement, a declaration that she would not be sidelined, ignored, or erased from the royal equation. Though details of the confrontation were never officially made public, the story quickly leaked. Reports surfaced suggesting that Carole had drawn a line in the sand, that she had made it unmistakably clear she would not allow the rigid traditions of the royal family to overshadow the warmth and values she believed in. The confrontation sent shockwaves through the royal household. For years, the battle between Carole and Camilla had been fought in silence, through quiet maneuvering and behind-the-scenes influence. But now, it was out in the open. And, for the first time, Camilla had met a challenger who refused to back down. But some began to wonder, was Carole actively influencing this dynamic? Was she intentionally ensuring that her grandchildren were raised in a way that aligned with her values, rather than the royal family's strict traditions? Let's take a closer look. Camilla's royal controversy. When Carole Middleton finally decided to speak out, the impact went far beyond just stirring up current tensions in the royal family. Her words seemed to rip open old wounds that the monarchy had spent years trying to heal. Suddenly, Queen Camilla's long and complicated past was back in the spotlight, bringing back memories of scandals that many thought had been buried forever. To truly understand why Carole's statements caused such a stir, we need to look back at the years before Camilla became queen consort, back when her name was linked to controversy and heartbreak. After the tragic death of Princess Diana, the world was still grieving.
The princess who spent her life in the relentless glare of the public eye died in a speeding car in Paris.
And it was impossible to ignore the role Camilla Parker Bowles had played in the collapse of one of the most famous royal marriages in modern history. Over time, Camilla worked hard to change public opinion, dedicating herself to charity work and carefully managing her public image. But no matter how much effort was put into rehabilitating her reputation, she could never fully escape Diana's shadow. To many, she remained a symbol of the old aristocratic elite, a world where power and privilege mattered more than morality or public sentiment. Now, Carole Middleton's accusations were forcing everyone to look at Camilla in a new light. What made Carole's revelations even more shocking was their timing. The monarchy was already on shaky ground following the passing of Queen Elizabeth II, and now
Buckingham Palace has announced the death of Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II.
With these allegations, public scrutiny intensified. People began to ask difficult questions. As the whispers grew louder, the media started digging deeper, uncovering long-buried stories. Whispers of financial scandals, power struggles, and claims of favoritism within the royal household. The palace, which had spent years carefully managing its image, now found itself battling a fresh wave of controversy. Inside Buckingham Palace, Carole Middleton's remarks sent shockwaves through the royal household. Prince William, known for his unwavering loyalty to his wife and his duty as future king, suddenly found himself caught in a storm he hadn't expected. For years, he had carefully balanced his royal responsibilities with his desire to protect Kate and her family. But now, that delicate balance was under threat. According to royal insiders, William was frustrated, not just by the allegations themselves, but by the difficult position they put him in. He knew his mother-in-law wasn't entirely wrong, but publicly siding with her would mean openly challenging the very institution he was destined to lead. It was a dilemma with no easy answers. For Kate, the fallout was deeply personal. Over the years, she had endured subtle tensions within the family, but had always maintained a polite and professional relationship with Camilla. In fact, during her early years as a royal, she had even seen Camilla as something of a mentor. But now, with her mother's revelations dominating headlines, Kate felt a profound sense of betrayal. Friends close to her described her as deeply disillusioned. Was this the price she had to pay for life in the royal family? Watching her mother face backlash for simply speaking her truth, seeing her husband torn between loyalty and love, it all felt overwhelming. Then there was King Charles. According to sources, his response was one of denial and dismissal. To him, Carole's words weren't just an attack on Camilla, they were an attack on the monarchy itself. A seasoned strategist, Charles understood that the royal family's survival depended on maintaining the image of unity and strength. But with rifts now fully exposed, it was clear that the family was far from united. The royal family's response was predictable: silence and careful damage control. But this time, silence wasn't enough. The public was demanding answers. After Carole Middleton's shocking revelations, the palace's media team sprang into action, scrambling to control the narrative. For a royal institution that had long depended on silence and discretion to survive scandals, this was uncharted territory. But times had changed. The public now demanded transparency, and the royal family could no longer count on people losing interest to make the controversy disappear. At the heart of the crisis was Camilla's reputation, and by extension, the monarchy's credibility. The palace's first move was predictable: release carefully crafted statements stressing unity and dismissing the controversy as simple misunderstandings. But this time, the public wasn't so easily convinced. Social media exploded, with hashtags like #TeamCarole and #Queen Camilla dominating online discussions. Talk show panels and news reports dissected the growing rift between Carole and Camilla, debating what it meant for the future of the monarchy. What do you think about Carole Middleton's shocking revelation on Queen Camilla? Let us know your answer in the comments section. Don't forget to like and subscribe.